All right, good evening. Let's get this great event on the road here. Goal, I promised with the seniors and their families in the dinner, we're shooting for 9:15, all right? So we're gonna try and stick with that. I'm Greg Dettinger, principal here at the high school. Welcome to Concord High School Academic Awards presentation event. The theme for this year is topping the charts with academics. Before we start rolling out, I just want to welcome all of you here for taking the time to be here. Thank you for your patience with us and kind of some of the adjustments we made in the seating by having the students that are being recognized and the teachers in the front so that we can get them up here in a more timely fashion. Also, just real quickly, I want to apologize in advance. Somehow the printer left off everyone after Turner in the sophomore class. There's 8, I think. So don't stress, those 8 of you that are after that, you're still here and you'll still be honored, but we humbly apologize for that. With that being said, I would like our freshmen, quietly, our freshmen that are going to be recognized, to move A through M up the staircase over here and N through Z out in, lining up out into the hallway and the BPAC. And while they do that, I'm just going to share a few remarks. So freshmen, go ahead and move quietly. So A through M starting at the staircase here and N through Z outside. And I'll give them further instructions as we go. Before we move to that part of the program, I just want to take a moment and recognize our distinguished Board of Trustee members that are here with us tonight. 4 of the 5 are here with us. Our president, Mr. Randy Myers. Our vice president, Mr. Tim Yoder. Mrs. Cammie Waite, secretary, correct? Mrs. Kathy Thomasby, member. And not with us tonight due to family circumstances, Mrs. Jennifer Davis. And we just appreciate them. Their tireless efforts and sacrifice beyond any measure are what makes sure that we have the funding, the financing, the resources, and everything available to accomplish the tasks that get accomplished here, not just at Concord High School, but throughout Concord Community Schools. So we're deeply indebted to each of them. And we also want to recognize Superintendent John Trout. I think he told me he was going to be hiding back there in the booth. He is. He kept his promise. And he's the true instructional leader. He is the leader of all instruction throughout the entire school, corporation, or community schools here. And, you know, he just does a fantastic job and helps provide us with the leadership, the guidance, and the vision to make all these things happen. We also want to recognize Mr. Tim Tahara, Assistant Superintendent. He's not here with us tonight. He is at a conference gathering more information to help us to continue to run things smoothly. And also tonight here with us is Mrs. Renee Kokenauer. She is our Director of Secondary Education and Curriculum. Is she in here? There she is. Okay, and so thank you. And I, of course, can't not recognize these great individuals here to my left, your right. Denise Tahara, our Associate Principal. Javier Jimenez, Assistant Principal. And Corrine Coco Howard, Assistant Principal. If you notice, there weren't quite as many loud claps for the last 2 as for the first one, because the last 2 sometimes don't always see the kids in the most positive of circumstances. So, you know, that's the job of the assistant principal. But we just want to thank them and recognize all of them. I want to take a moment to recognize, tonight we're going to be honoring several teachers. Each of these students in our top 10, two different top 10 categories have recognized students, but I want to take a moment and recognize all of our educators in the Concord Community Schools. This is a team effort. We get the benefits and kind of the blessing of the end product and seeing it and feeling it and living with it. But it starts all the way at kindergarten, you know, actually in preschool, all the way up. And so if we have any of our educators here in the building, would you please stand to be recognized? Any of our Concord Community Schools educators, please stand to be recognized. You truly are where the rubber meets the road, so thank you for all that you do. And finally, parents. What an honor and a privilege it is for us, for you to share your children and entrust them into our care and what we do. You have no idea how seriously we take that each and every day, and how much it means to us, and how inspiring they are for us and to us for what we do. And I know personally, from my personal standpoint, they each make a lot bigger difference in my life than I do in theirs. And so thank you, parents, for entrusting your students with us. And students, let's recognize your parents, huh? All right, let's get this show on the road. So what's going to happen is we're going to call your name. You're going to come across, and you'll come across over here. And Mr. Myers and Mr. Yoder will be handing out the certificates to our first group of freshmen that come across. Front freshmen, pay attention here. So you're going to come across the stage after you get your certificate. You're going to go all the way to the end there, just before the steps, and start lining up. We may have to double up here, but we're going to line up and try and so that there can be a picture moment there, okay? All right. And the last thing, I'm just going to apologize. I've worked really hard on these names because to me, the name is important because there's a lot to a name. It isn't just something that we give out. I know that parents spend a lot of time in how we name our children, and name has, you know, heredity and a lot of things that are important. So I'm just going to apologize if I mess up on a couple of them, but I've worked really hard to try and make sure that I have all of them correct. So with that being said, here we go. Tyon Autry. And let's hold all of our applause until we get finished with all of the freshmen, please. Thank you. Isaac Baltasar. Tyler Binkley. Brooke Blotkamp. Jade Brooks. Daryl Brown. I recognize him. Genevieve Carreno. Alexandra Chacon. Samuel Chittister. Laura Clausen. Gracia Cortez. Courtney Craig. Madison Kreider. Damara Cunningham. Elias De Leon. Maria Fernanda Delgado Taboada. Say that 3 times with your... Jameson Dibble. Jane Doan. Emily Dollinger. Eduardo Duran. Jacob Eakins. Benjamin Eichelberger. Brooke Farnham. Haley Gallant. Ersebeth Gallegos. Joshua Garcia. Megan Gadziz. Lillian Hale. Quentin Hirschberger. Aaron Hochstetler. Rihanna Huffman. Sarah Joy. Stephanie Kamiotis. Caseda Kip. Tyler Klaus. Did I get that right? Clace? Brock Kosielko. Teresa Lietzen. Aisha Madayag. Atsiri Malayon. Andres Mejia. Brooklyn Messenger. McKenna Miller. Destiny Morris. Paola Mujica Alfonso. Andres Nogales. Rafael Nungaray. Alexis Ott. Katie Papa. Krista Parsons. Patrick Peterson. Christian Pfeiffer Laguerre. Alyssa File. Jocelyn Portillo. Angela Reinert. Caleb Rapayage. Eric Reyes. Elena Rice. Melody Rivera. Rachel Rao. Did I get that one right? Rowe? Sorry, somebody told me Rao. So, Stephanie Rowe. They're one of our two sets of twinners here. Just, yeah, or you can go in between. Dampreet Sangha. Asaya Saoko. Caitlin Schonborn. Amani Simon. Sydney Simon. Drew Smeltzer. Stephanie Sotelo. Britlin Souders. Dante Stanton. Paxton Starrett. Logan Sunday. Brandon Thompson. Madison Treble. Jackson Trowbridge. Ana Velos. Lakira Wagner. Elise Williams. Lindsay Williamson. Magdalene Wilson. Brandon Wise. Noah Wright. Audrey Wurtzbaugh. Liliana Zezer. And Edna Zhang. Each of these students standing before you have maintained a cumulative GPA of 3.67. What an outstanding, fantastic accomplishment. These freshmen, they're well on their way for a great start for a four-year career here at the high school. Thank you very much, freshmen. Okay, you may be seated, and sophomores, or let's see, hang on here. Let me follow my directions here. Okay, go ahead and be seated, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move along to our most improved students. Board member Mrs. Waite will be handing out the certificates here. The seniors whose cumulative GPA improved most from freshman to their senior years. So would you, seniors that are in this category, would you please go stand over here and line up on the steps in alphabetical order? Each of these students are going to be given a plaque which reads, I'll wait for the noise to quiet down here for a sec. Okay, thank you. We'll move forward. So each of these seniors are going to be receiving a plaque and presented, and on the plaque it states, presented to, with their name, as acknowledgement of significant improvement in academics in the class of 2017. As we call these students forward, while I'm doing this, will the first five of you please go have a seat up here in the chairs? So the first five, it's alphabetical. So Escamilla, Floria, Green, Knight, and McCarthy, if you'll have a seat in the chairs. After I then will call up each of these students individually, and they will get their plaque, and then they will then recognize a staff member that they have selected, will be called up here, and their plaque reads, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so proudly recognizes, or sorry, the student proudly recognizes Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so for being a significant influence in his or her educational experience. These plaques were generously donated to us by First Place Trophy, and we are truly grateful for their support. Okay, so once I call the name of each student, they will then come, and then they will then recognize their teacher and make their statement after they've received their plaque. So are we ready? Okay, so the first one up of our most improved seniors, Salvador Escamilla.
Coming into high school, I, like many other students, didn't have a clue about what I wanted to do through the rest of my life. My plan was to just go wherever the wind takes me. I dreamed about doing great things, but I never acted upon them, which would leave them fade away. Pretty much, I was a stereotypical high school student. This attitude would have gone on years had it not been for one man. In the last trimester of my freshman year, I made the bold decision to do track. I didn't know anybody enough to keep up more than a few word conversation. I was scared and alone, already thinking about how I was going to quit a week into the season. I was sure going to, had it not been for one of my coaches. He talked to me like I was actually a runner, even when I didn't think I was. Because of him, I made it through my freshman year with adequate grades and a less than adequate performance in track. Sophomore year comes around, and I actually feel motivated to work, determined to improve my high school career. I may not have realized at the time, but this change in attitude was the fault of my coach. It helped to have someone who actually believed I could do better and pushed me to do so. Junior year, same idea. My grades were in the A-B range, and I was confident that, with the help of my coach, I'd be able to finish off high school and leave a lasting impression. By this point, I'd realized what my plans were for after high school, and I sought to achieve them no matter what. Now, senior year, my coach is my best friend. He has been there for me since the beginning when I was at my lowest and pushed me the whole way up to now. Most everything he's taught me on the track, I had been able to use in the classroom. Don't settle for good enough. Keep working until you can't go anymore. Don't give up too early, just to name a few. He has been like a father to me, and without him, I would still be that scared, unambitious, quiet boy that walked into high school 4 years ago. With that, I'd like to recognize my coach, Matthew Nickerson.
Next up, Samantha Floria.
I don't really have anything to say. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Favaro, because you are a great teacher and you really made a big impact on my life.
Next up, Jakira Green.
Everybody has that one subject they strongly dislike or they're just not good at. And everyone who knows me is aware that any sort of math is not my favorite subject. However, being a sophomore in a freshman algebra class, I struggled. I remember when my counselor told me that she was going to put me in another algebra class with another teacher who stays after school for not passing my math classes, summer school, and so forth. I can remember thinking that there's a 90% chance I won't graduate if I don't get all of my mandatory math credits. Surprisingly, the teacher my counselor put me with the following year helped me greatly. Without her perseverance as well as mine, her ability to assist not only me but other students when they have given up, and truly caring about the success of each and every one of her students despite how her day was going or the kids she was teaching. She is constantly determined to make sure we succeed, even if I'm not in her math classes anymore. Numerous students will remember how much dedication you put into your students when other teachers may have not worked. With that being said, thank you, Mrs. Staten, for all the hard work and dedication you do to make sure your students succeed.
Next, Tyler McClendon.
I'd like to thank my coach for everything that he's done for me. When I came into high school, I had no sense of direction. I was unmotivated, irresponsible, and completely unprepared to start my future. I didn't plan to join the team. I didn't plan to do much with my life at all. I was heading down a bad path that I didn't belong on. But once I joined the team and you became my coach, that started to change. If it hadn't been for you and your constant motivation and passion for the sport, I wouldn't have finished my freshman year. But you never gave up on me. You believed in me when no one else thought I'd do any good. You pushed me to always be the very best that I could, inside the pool and out of it. I'd never committed to a sport as much as I did to swimming, but I will always be thankful that I did. When my last season came to a close, I look back on who I was when I started, and I am so happy to be who I am today because of the skills you've taught me along the way. I could not have asked for a better coach to get me to where I am now. Thank you, Coach Tom.
And next up, Kevin McCarthy.
I'd like to thank and express my deepest gratitude to Mrs. Troyer from freshman year to present, who have guided me through this journey of high school, from selecting classes, keeping a consult period, to keep my grades on track and stay focused. You've truly made a difference in my life. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll be doing the next 5 here after this. So right now, as these folks leave the stage, let's have our sophomores, A through M, line up along the stairs. N through Z outside. Also, teachers and students that are recognized in these 2 different top 10 groups. Afterwards, you're going to be coming up here to the stage for a picture, so please stick around. While they're lining up, I just want to take a moment and thank Mr. Matt Jerlecki and his crew up here in the filming booth. This event is being streamed live tonight through technology. It's absolutely amazing, the technology that we have. And we're grateful to him for being here to help that. And also Mr. Scott Preheim, our director of the BPAC, and his crew for always pulling off these wonderful events, keeping this place spectacular and running smoothly, and the day-to-day operations. It's a tireless job, and he's just an absolute amazingly dedicated individual. So we want to thank those guys, those gentlemen. Thank you. All right, so this next group, these are our sophomores. These also have a cumulative GPA of 3.67. They are going to come up here. And I forgot to mention before, but for those, like the freshmen, they all receive their academic letter, and then you get a chevron and a certificate for each year. And so the sophomores, if they've been recognized before, you won't get a letter, you already have it, but you'll get a chevron and you'll get a certificate. And of course, then you have the opportunity to get the letterman's jackets and wear those things with honor, you know, for the academics that you've achieved. So with that, let's go ahead and begin. And we have Mrs. Thomasby and Mrs. Waite from the board who will be handing out these awards. First up, Ricardo Aguilar. Once again, please hold your applause until the end. Tyler Anderson. Courtney Barr. Angela Boyce. Frederick Buckingham. Sean Butler. Maria Campos. Caitlin Cass. Tyler Castillo. Alexandra Serling. Sonia Chacon. Claire Collins. Shanice Colton Flores. Michaela Combs. Jacob Cora. Mia Crouch. Jillian Dawson. Grace Deaton. Elise Doctor. Melissa Duran. Dylan Ferguson. Callahan Finley. Isaac Fisher. Perla Galvan. Adriana Garcia. Aaron Greising. Janea Hens. Cassandra Hess. Madeline Huxford. Paul Huxford. Simone Ivanilio. Kyra Irisari. Connor Johnson. Emily Jones. Madison Kelly. Alexis Kern. Roland Kinsman. Nicholas Klein. Reagan Landis. McKenna Lee. Ariana Lopez. Miguel Lopez. Grant Lucas. Alyssa Marson. Nicholas Mark. Jocelyn Martinez. Mario Mejia. Haley Miller. Caden Miller. Michaela Miller. Ni Huen. Kelsey Odell. Riley Olmsted. Hope Pankoki. Josh Peacock. Fernando Pedrosa. Brittany Poblano Parra. Christopher Pollock. Alexa Porter. Brooke Powell. Natalia Ramirez. Jessica Rasso. Genesis Reyes. Sydney Rice. Mark Rich. Catherine Riffle. Emily Ross. Zoe Rupp. Andrea Santillan. Alec Shyman. Desiree Shepard. Luke Shoemaker. Nathan Slaybaugh. Oscar Solano. Audrey Staggs. Lucas Stout. Olivia Trout. Thad Turner. Irina Ustomchuk. Nicolette Vahala. Caitlin Veely. Caitlin Wait. Max Welch. Caleb Whitaker. Blake Williams. And Claire Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, sophomore class, top academic students, 3.67 cumulative GPA or higher. Thank you. You may be seated. Will our next group of most improved students please move up and go ahead and come up and take your seats. And Mrs. Thomasby will be giving out these awards. Okay. Okay, we'll give everybody just a moment to be seated. We're actually cruising right on time, so we're going to make that 9:15 goal. Okay, next up, we're going to be recognizing the other 5 of our 10 most improved academic seniors. And we'll introduce them one at a time and have them come forward and receive their plaque. Then they will come and they will share who has inspired them and invite their teacher to come join them up here on the stand. First up is Ashanti Knight.
These last 4 years have been extremely long and stressful. When I was a freshman and I had just enrolled, I didn't care about my grades. Whether I was failing or passing, it made little difference to me. I never asked for help, even though I needed it more than not. What's the point of all this? I want to go home. Why do I even bother? Ran through my head religiously. I was like a puppet without all the strings. As my freshman year came to a close, I had pretty much failed all my classes. I read books the entire time. That was more important to me than schoolwork could ever be. It helped me escape reality and my at-home problems. As a dull emotional summer came and went, I started my sophomore year practically like a freshman all over again. As I sat taking the same classes, learning the same thing as last year, it's like I woke up from a deep sleep. I took a moment to look around and saw some juniors from the year before who were now seniors and felt rather embarrassed for them. As they sat in a freshman class, laughing and joking with each other, I saw myself in the same situation, but I wasn't laughing. It wasn't a game anymore. I wasn't going to graduate. I was going to be in high school forever. The first step in admitting you have a problem is accepting you have one in the first place. Walking up to my English teacher, I asked for help and guidance. I was too ignorant, too blinded to accept before. Miss Shelley, thank you for your guidance, friendship, and even for your discipline. I learned that I am strongest when I recognize that I can't do everything by myself, that it's okay to ask for help. You also taught me how I might best develop those parts of my character. We as students might not always say it, but thank you for all the extra efforts you make to help us grow and the challenges you encourage us to face to help us become who we are.
Next up, Jesus Perez.
Okay, so it's not always being fun being in front of a lot of people, considering being stage fright and all. But but being here is important to me because I want to talk about an amazing woman who helped me get through a point of my life that was hard to get out of. She has influenced and changed the lives of many more students than me, and she deserves much more than a plaque for all she does. We all go through things that bring us down emotionally, physically, or mentally, and we always need someone to be there for us and help us through it. Tonight, I don't consider this a banquet for me. I think this is more of an appreciation ceremony for the amazing people that help us kids through the tough times, and that person to me is Laura Gammon.
Next, we have Marissa Templeton.
There are people who come into our lives and leave a burning sensation that lights up inside each and every one of us. In my case, someone who's been in my life for years. She cares about every student and is able to see the positive in every kid that walks into her room. She tries to motivate and inspire every student, never giving up, and a lot of the times, because of her perseverance, she succeeds. So thank you, Ms. Utley, for dedicating time and effort to making sure your students and as well as myself achieve. And thank you for letting me put my food in your fridge all the time and being an ear to vent to.
Next up, Hunter Wade.
What's up, everyone? Freshman year, I really hated school, wanted to drop out. Never had an appreciation for it. I took after my dad. He was really bad in school. I got called down to the office, and I figured I was just in trouble for something. And I was surprised to get that letter, and it meant a lot. I really couldn't do it without this wonderful teacher in my life. He's not just a teacher, he's a great friend, and I'd like to thank Mr. Lurch.
Gabriel White.
Hello there. Through those long summer days, marching along with friends and those I now call friends, this person was there encouraging us to do our best because we were told not to give up and always strive to do our best. I took these words to heart and applied them to my schoolwork and helped me to easily achieve my goal. Whenever we felt like goofing off, and do what we were not supposed to do. He was there as the loud speaking voice over our heads, encouraging us to step it up and do better than our best. It's the discipline that he helped instill that helped me do my best in school, if not better. This person I am referencing, the one that towers over me, Mr. Spradling.
Okay, again, you folks, if you'll make sure you stick around and we'll take a group picture, teachers and students afterwards, okay? So you can return to your seats. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to recognize our juniors for their academic achievements. So juniors, A through M, N through Z, if you'll line up here along the steps. And Mr. Yoder and Mrs. Thomasby will be presenting the awards to them. Have you noticed how each grade level gets just a little bit noisier? That's because they know how to help keep it 212. Once again, these students, as they're called forward, are going to be recognized. They're going to receive a certificate and a chevron, and if they have not been honored in such a way in the past, then they will also receive their letter. But if they have been honored in years past, they already have their letter, and so they'll get their chevron and their certificate. Once again, we'll do this alphabetically, and we'll line up across here, starting to the far side. Sarah Alasawi, Ashley Arroyo, David Arvidsson, Matthew Ozier, Daniela Basanov, Nicholas Binkley, Elise Bossler, Will Boyer, Janet Cabrera, Lauren Craig, Ella Cunningham, Reese Curtis, Matthew Davidson, Dawson Demeen, Rachel Deshone, Jonathan Diaz, Bradley Dwiggins, Stephen Fields, Selene Fino, Mason Fish, Jana Fisher, Joshua Four, Andrew Fox, Jarrett Gaff, Noelani Garcia, Alexander Gearhart, Alexis Gill, Eileen Gonzalez, Matthew Granitz. Bingo. Jessica Gutierrez, Jamie Hawley, Allison Henderson, When you get to this age, you got a lot of these students that are working jobs and doing lots of other activities in the evening. So if you notice, there are less of them that are here. Ashley Harrington. Carissa Lakota. Thank you. I got the name right? Tamaya Houston. Sage Ivanilio. Demetrius Camiotis. Emily Kennedy. Grace Kindy. Maya Kloffenstein. Jared Kahn. Carson Cronenmeyer. Morgan Lane. Madison Lance. Veronica Liddy. Jonathan Leedson. Samuel Lauer. Camille Lozier. Evan McDowell. Alexa McNeely. Nicole Parsons. Eliud Ramirez. Nicole Ramirez. Garrett Roberts. Andrew Ross. Anna Ross. Viridiana Sabas. Christian Saleh. Adrian Schwartz. Susana Segovia. Hannah Shank. Kevin Seibel. Regan Stoffer. Kennedy Sullivan. Riley Treble. Shayla Valencia. Lydia Waltz. Matt Wheatstock. Bethany Willett. James Wurtzbaugh. Jacob Yoder. Caitlin Zeezer. Ainsley Zhu. Ladies and gentlemen, the top juniors, 3.67 cumulative GPA or higher. Thank you. Okay, next up will our first 5 top 10 seniors come up and take your place on the stand, on the seats, those hot seats over there. These top 10 seniors are students who will be receiving a plaque which reads, Concord High School recognizes so-and-so for academic excellence, top 10 student. As we call these students forward, we will ask that their parents stand. Students will step to the microphone and recognize a teacher. After the student is recognized, they'll recognize a staff member by presenting them with a plaque which reads, "So-and-so proudly recognizes Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so for being a significant influence in his or her educational experience." The Concord Rotary, sometimes, I've actually eaten lunch there, sometimes it's like a rodeo, but no, it's not. They're actually an incredible organization, and they do provide some great lunches. The Concord Rotary purchased these plaques, and we are grateful for their support. Jamie Stam of the Concord Rodeo will make these sorry. Rotary. I've got rodeo on the mind. I have a little cousin, he's like 7 years old in Southern California, and I've been following him on Facebook the last few days. And the kid is like riding bulls, big full-size bulls. And I don't know if that's more exciting or if I'm finding out that his mom, who's my first cousin, he's my second cousin, is more nuts. I just a side note, my first principalship years ago was in Utah, Milford, Utah, a little teeny tiny town. Nobody had never heard of it, except for if you're into rodeo, the Wright brothers. And this last year in the saddle bronc competition in the national rodeo finals in Las Vegas, only the top 15 people get to go. 7 brothers, brother-in-law, and a cousin from one family were at that rodeo. So sorry, I have rodeo on the mind. But the Rotary, thank you so much. They are awesome, and they do a great job. So with that being said, first up, will she come forward and her parents stand, Lauren Boone.
Okay. So we all remember the first day of freshman year. For me, I did my hair, my makeup, had the cutest outfit on that I could find, walked into school with my senior, captain of the football team brother, and felt on top of the world. So I walk in my first hour, sit front and center in the classroom, ready to go with a smile on my face. And the bell rings and everyone's still chatting about summer and sharing class schedules. Then this teacher walks in and he just starts yelling at us. Like, we get no warm welcome, no name game. He's just yelling. And the first thing he says that he has a zero tolerance policy for cell phones. And so you look around and everyone's nonchalantly grabbing their phones and sliding in their bags. And then second, he says that there's absolutely no opportunity whatsoever for extra credit, which is kind of a bummer. And at this point, I was totally regretting sitting in the front. Lastly, I'm pretty sure his goal was to just scare the entire class by telling us how difficult the course was going to be and how much work he was going to be giving us for the next 180 days. So my smile faded and I prepared for a rough year. A few weeks into school, it was my birthday, and come to find out, I shared my birthday with my super serious and somewhat scary first-hour teacher. So on my birthday, walk into class ready to go, and he says, "Hi, Lauren, happy birthday." And before I get the chance to reply, he says, "Did you know we share a birthday with the same day Hitler invaded Poland in 1939? And so my response to this fun fact consisted of a smile, an awkward nod, and a cool, "Thanks, you too." As the year went on and the class continued, I learned more about the teacher and he started growing on me. First, we began bonding over athletics, and I found out that we had a lot more in common than just a birthday. He always made sure to ask me about the upcoming meets I had in the games, and he always wanted to stay in the loop on how I was doing, which I really appreciated. Then I began really paying attention to everything he did, and I could really tell how much love he had for his family, and I admired that greatly. I could also tell how much he cared for his students just by how honest he was and how he was a kind and genuine human being. I remember one of his lectures to our class specifically, and it was not on a textbook topic, but it was about passion. And mainly what he questioned us was that if we weren't passionate about everything we did, why did we do it? And so this concept has stayed with me pretty much the past 4 years. It's helped me choose which career path I want to follow. It's helped me decide that I want to continue my athletic career in college and where I want to go to college. I was admired that this teacher not only wanted us to be knowledgeable about the subject he taught, but he also wanted us to be good people and good members of society. I also discovered my love for traveling with this teacher, as he was one of the chaperones on the China trip the summer after my freshman year. It was an amazing trip, other than the one time my credit card stopped working in China with a 12-hour time difference from home and no banks to talk to whatsoever. So I go running up to him, panicking and totally freaking out and crying, and there was just tears streaming down my face. And as overwhelmed as he was with my teenage girl overdramatic, I'm going to starve in China self, he eventually managed to calm me down and we worked everything out, and I did not starve in China. Along with a lot of life lessons, this teacher taught me nearly all the study skills I have, the work ethics, and the ways to be successful in the classroom. The subject he taught may have been my least favorite subject ever, and he may have given me the only A-minuses I've ever gotten in high school. But besides the fact, as my first AP teacher, my chaperone in China, and a mentor, this teacher touched my life as well as all the lives of everyone he meets, whether that be at Concord or wherever else life may take him. And wherever he goes, they're lucky to have him. So thank you, Mr. Molnar, for being passionate in everything you do and helping me see what's truly important in life.
Next, Alexis Boydus, and will parents please stand?
Okay. So, when I was a freshman, wow, that was a lot louder than I expected. Okay. When I was a freshman, I saw the seniors up here at the time giving their speeches at this banquet, and I'm like, wow, I hope that's me someday. And then as the years went on, I'm like, wow, this is really fun, but I really don't care at all, because it's the first week of AP exams and I'm really tired and I just want to go to bed. So this is me publicly acknowledging that I know how bored most of you are and that some of you just don't care. And I'm sorry to tell you that I didn't make any effort to make this interesting for any of you. So, on that note, to the teacher I'm honoring tonight. There's really no good way to set this up. I'm really sorry. Okay. I'm thinking that a thank you is probably a good place to start. I've written and rewritten this speech in my head before bed so many times, but it will still never say everything I want it to. As much as I love language, there just isn't a way to reorganize 26 letters into a string of words, into sentences, into paragraphs that could possibly encompass all of the appreciation I have for you. Thank you so much for the love, compassion, pep talks, hugs, laughs about a dry bob. You heard me. Shaving cream and overall joy you have shared with me in the short time I've known you. Thank you for introducing me to linguistics and laughing with me when I geek out about something I'm really excited for. That's so important because I tell myself to embrace the small things and then forget about my passions. So thank you for bringing me back into perspective and loving the moment I'm in. I never thought that I would meet someone who loved as deeply as I do. You care so much about every single one of your students. We are like your children. You love us like a mother, and I want to thank you for that. You put so much effort into your students that you probably work twice as hard as half the kids that go to this school. You're one of the last teachers here every single day. And it's just a relief to finish with an activity after a really long day and know that you're gonna be in your classroom. You also notice everything about every kid's body language. You can tell how we're feeling based on how we walk down the hallway. So thank you for loving so unconditionally, so fully, and without any hesitation. Every now and again, you tell me that I remind you so much of yourself, and honestly, that's one of the best compliments anyone could ever give me. I know that you don't mean for it to flatter me, but it really does. You're a beautiful soul, and if I could ever be half the woman you are, I would be honored. You are undoubtedly my role model. If every single person in this world asked me why, I could give every single one of them a different reason. You are endlessly brilliant, and you have influenced my life in a way no one will ever be able to compare to. One day when I was sitting on a desk in your classroom after talking with you about a really difficult day, you looked at me with teary eyes and said, "You are strong, beautiful, and worthwhile to humanity." I know they're just words, but sometimes looking into someone's eyes and feeling the genuine concern behind their words is so surreal. I walked out of your classroom so refreshed, and while you had some other things you said that I've held on to, this is one quote that I've actually written down. I needed that, and I didn't even know I needed it. But somehow, you did. You always know what to say, even when I'm still trying to find out the answer to that too. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Most of all, I want to thank you for teaching me how to love myself, because sometimes that's really hard. And I want to thank you for filling in the space of emptiness when I feel hollow. One thing I love about you is that you don't bother to sugarcoat anything. You don't try to tell me that my journey will be easy, but you always make sure to remind me that it's worth it. Some people fill rooms with joy when they walk in. You fill it with peace. So, with all of that, to those of you who have tuned out, this is your invitation to rejoin us, because I'm about to tell you who I just spent like 5 minutes talking to. I'd like to say one more thank you to a teacher that makes me so happy to be alive. It's my honor to present this word to an outstandingly stunning soul, Mrs. Green.
We have Kleenex in the restrooms. Lizbeth Salis and parents. Sam.
Three years ago, I sat in this very audience, 5th row, 3rd seat, looking up and watching with admiration as the top 10 seniors walked across the stage to deliver their speech. I could only imagine the hard work, the dedication, and the nervous wreck they must have felt speaking in front of staff, students, and parents. That day, as I walked out of the BPAC, I looked at my dad and said, "I promise that'll be me senior year." Now I stand here, 3 years later, after hard work, dedication, and especially a nervous wreck. I know people say you should imagine the audience in their underwear to relieve the nervousness, but let me tell you that's a little weird and I don't recommend it. Most importantly, I stand here today to recognize a very special teacher. I can firmly say that this teacher helped me make great accomplishments. He helped me to start looking into what we like to call figuring out your life. When I first walked into his classroom freshman year, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. It didn't help that some days he was in a very good mood, while others he had "don't mess with me" written across his face. Throughout freshman year, he helped me believe in myself and my abilities. I was never confident in my writing skills because I know it's one of my weaknesses. It doesn't help that I'm a perfectionist either, but he slowly helped me to overcome that. To my privilege and possibly his misfortune, I had him as a teacher again senior year. I'll take this time to apologize for the many times I asked for his opinion to choose a topic for speech class and ended up choosing the total opposite one. Yeah, I could tell it really got to him. But maybe it was payback for playing kid president many times, or eating my Fruit Loops in class, or volunteering me to go first on speech days. I know I can't call him coach because I didn't do speech team, but I will always appreciate how he prepared me for the interview that got me my scholarship. I give him credit because I would have not walked into that interview as confident as I did if it weren't for him. And let me tell you, he can't keep secrets and can't act normal. This teacher knew I had won the Lilly Scholarship even before I knew. And that day he ran into me about 1,000 times and avoided eye contact. Which, secret keeping 101, maintain eye contact. I definitely knew something was up. Now, my favorite story of all time. When I found out this teacher didn't believe in recycling, I was somewhat confused as to why not. So when he announced the project was a persuasive speech, that was it. My speech was to persuade him into recycling. As I was giving my speech, he wrote on my paper, "Sorry, Lisbeth, I don't have a recycling bin." Oh, I could imagine that smirk on his face. But little did he know I'd present him with his very own recycling bin made from a recycled box and recycled Christmas paper at the conclusion of my speech. Think of how much he contributed to that landfill, just saying. But most of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me see what I could be and helping me see what I could accomplish. For helping me reach a greater confidence level. For letting Kid President teach me that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Thank you, Mr. Stutzman.
Next, Besner Gomez, and parents, please stand.
All right, sorry it took me so long to set up. All right, the teacher that I would like to recognize is, well, that's something I'll save for the end. The first time I went into your class, you were taking attendance and I was late. I was almost always late to class. At times, I had to sneak in when you weren't looking. And being a freshman at the time, it was a very heart-pounding situation. Yes, this is my confession to being late a bunch. And I mean a bunch. Thank you for not catching me. What really impressed me that first day was that you actually pronounced my name right. You didn't hesitate. You just said, Besner Gomez. Wow, who is that kid? I've never heard that name before. Instead of saying Besnar or Beanzer and looking around anxiously to see what it was or who it was as if I was some exotic animal. But you didn't do that. And that's when I knew I was going to really like your class. As the year went on, I really did enjoy your class, even though you did move me a bunch from group to group because I talked to everyone. It was great knowing that no matter where you moved me, I always had someone to talk to. So I wasn't really gonna complain. But finally, you moved me to the desk in front of your desk. For a second, I thought you finally trumped me. But then I realized there was still one person I could talk to. And that was you. So that's what I did. I started talking to you as if you were just another person I could befriend. But then you moved me again. I'm pretty sure you only moved me back to the groups because I kept distracting you. I would bring up random conversations or random topics right as you're about to start teaching. Everyone loved me, just saying. But hey, we became friends, even though you did move me. I noticed we became friends when after you moved me back to the groups, you would occasionally pick on me through some type of joke. Mostly jokes about how talkative I was, but I didn't mind it. The jokes were funny. And also, it's not like I didn't pick on you by rearranging your desk or stealing your drinks and hiding them in the room and waiting for you to find them. When the next year came, I would always go and visit you just to say, hey, or to steal the markers from your whiteboard and write random things in the agenda section. I don't know if you remember this, but one time I wrote my first name, Besner, in the agenda section, and you didn't notice until your students brought it up to you. The next day, when I stopped to say hi in the hall, you told me how your students brought it up to you, and you told me what you said to them. Well, first off, they said to you, what's a Besner? Is it an animal? We looked it up and we couldn't find it. You told me you answered, no, he's human, but it's still up for debate. I would typically go into your room and leave feeling a lot more motivated to do well in school and to be the best I could. Whenever I went to complain about how hard work was, you would reassure me that I was capable of doing my work. And when I was really stressed, you would look at me and say, Besner, you're a smart kid. You've got this. There's no need for you to worry about an assignment. You'll most likely get an A on. Take a piece of candy. She knows I like candy a lot. You're the best teacher I ever had. And when you disappeared for most of my junior year, I was really bummed. The least you could have done was name your daughter Besnerina or Jonathina after me. But I guess Camila is a great name too. With my last statement, most teachers, including yourself, can confirm who I have chosen. You're a great person with a big heart, with only kindness and understanding for everyone. If you were ever upset, you didn't show it. You care about everyone and would do anything to help a student out. Even bring them a donut when they were having a really bad day, or give them the extra snacks your mom made for you because you're too nice to tell your mom that she packs you too many snacks. Thank you for being such a great friend. If I felt sad, mad, or just plain unhappy, you would cheer me up. No matter how much I smiled, you would always know when to ask me if I was okay. Nothing got past you. I would wonder how you noticed, but then I realized it's not important how you noticed, but that you noticed at all. Thank you. Thank you for pushing me to be the best I could be, and for always motivating me to never give up and to work hard every day. You weren't just my teacher for Spanish 2 freshman year. You've been a great friend that I could always count on. Thank you, Mrs. Villegas, for being the great teacher and friend you've been to me these last few years. Thank you for being a significant part of my life through high school. I'm going to miss visiting you every day on my way to class and just dropping by to see how you're doing. I will miss being able to say hi to my friend every day.
By the way, because he had so many hard times getting to class late, he was actually out at the track and he broke his leg on the track trying to speed up to get there. And now he actually has an excuse to be late. So next up, Navpreet Kaur. Her parents.
It's safe to say that over the last 4 years,
I've written and delivered about 100 speeches, but I've never dreaded giving a speech as much as I'm dreading giving this one. This speech was so difficult to write. I put it off until yesterday. See, I'm suffering from senioritis. It's really real. But now that it's AP test week and I'm here delivering this awful speech, it's almost palpable that the end of the school year is just around the corner. The moment that we've all been waiting for is here, and it's just as exciting as I thought it would be, but it's just as sad. See, I actually have grown to like school. I see the appalled looks on your faces, but you guys will too. It wasn't always like that. I guess I made some lifestyle choices. I made the best of what I had and realized that happiness isn't a destination, and started to actively search for happiness in my present existence. And I urge you guys to do the same. When you get a flat tire, you don't slash the other three. Just like that, you don't let one challenge or one bad thing negatively affect your life. When you hit a challenge in life, you don't fall down and give up. You push back. We are animals, and our ability to conquer many of our challenges, we have the ability to conquer many of our challenges that come our way. Much of the game is mental, and overcoming these challenges isn't going to be the easiest thing, but who told you life was easy? And if you want to move forward in life, you have to have a mindset to welcome challenges and walk side by side with them as they come. And the teacher I'm honoring today has always upheld that. Taking his class and dealing with him on a daily basis helped me become a stronger student and develop this mindset. And back to the reason why I'm giving this speech, it was very difficult for me to write, like I said before, primarily due to the fact that I didn't really have strong relationships with my teacher. And I think this teacher by far is my most favorite teacher, except Ms. Gammon, I love you. But the teacher I'm honoring today, he's the epitome of teachers. He's the type who is constantly striving to be better and helping his students become better, who stays up late grading papers, which is his fault because he's assigned so much homework. A teacher who gives up his afternoons and free periods to give students a little one-on-one help and spends evenings and weekends developing lesson plans and activities that just don't teach the material but help it come alive. But a teacher who sees the potential in students even though the students themselves don't see that potential. He's beloved by all for his brutal jokes and his witty humor. The only teacher that can make an AP class fun. Not once did I dread coming to your class, and there was always something new to do and a lot of homework. Looking back, I had so much fun. From Jeopardy to the skits to all the press conferences, and most importantly to the class competitions, our class was lit. You've also taught me valuable life lessons, some of which I can't mention because they're kind of sketch, kind of like you. But anyways, it's time to conclude this speech because I know you guys all want to go home, and I would be more than honored to give you this plaque that you greatly deserve. Thank you for being so caring and being such a great teacher, Mr. Krause.
Okay, thank you. First 5 of our top 10. If you'll go ahead and have your seats. Remember, we're going to take a picture afterwards. Seniors, if you'll start to line up over here. A through M on the steps inside and N through Z just outside the door. Okay, as we're waiting for them to line up, just once again, these students have had a cumulative GPA of 3.67 to qualify for being here this evening. Many of these students have been here in the past and already have their letter, but if not, they will receive their letter tonight, and then tonight, those others that have been here will get their chevron and a certificate and a gold honor cord. Okay, Mr. Myers and Mrs. Waite are going to present, and let's go ahead and begin with the seniors. And once again, if you'll move all the way across and line up here along the front and remain here until everyone's here, if we hold our applause until the end. Brandon Alley. Alexis Anderson. Cindy Barron. Lauren Boone. Hannah Boswell. Alexis Boydus. Gideon Butler. Lucy Campos. Lisbeth Salis. Nathan Condor. Sandra Cortez. Hannah Davies. Lanaya Doctor. Gavin Ellis. Morgan Farnham. Charlotte Fader. Dane Ferguson. Besner Gomez. AKA Speedy. Aubrey Haynes. Alejandro Heredia. Monica Harrington. Elizabeth Hernandez. Brooklyn Hill. Kaylee Lakota. I get that name right every time. Navpreet Kaur. Nicholas Kingsbury. Judith Lopez Ortiz. Tiara Marson, AKA T. Rachel Mejia. Caitlin Miller. Quinn Miller. Allison Murphy, AKA Murph. Tate Nickerson. Noah Nyson. Cole Norton. Bailey Olinger Royer. Trevor Pollock. Nicholas Reverman. Benjamin Rich. Olivia Riffle. Julia Rodabaugh. Brenda Rodriguez. Madeline Sample. Elizabeth Schrock. Tyler Schwartz. Erica Shirley. Elise Smith. Brian Solano. Lauren Taylor. Coleman Weaver. Catherine White. Selena Williams. Caleb Wilson. Logan Wise. Ladies and gentlemen, our senior class with a cumulative GPA of 3.67 or higher. Thank you. While we're waiting for them to be seated, will our next 5 top 10 seniors please take their place on the stand? Once again, these plaques were purchased by Concord Rotary, and Jamie Stam of the Concord Rotary is here, and she will be making these presentations. We'll give these students just a moment to be seated. Okay, once again, if the parents of these students, as their name is called, will stand to be recognized. First up is Noah Nyson.
Each of us here tonight have someone besides our parents who have had a tremendous influence on our life. Someone who took time, someone who doesn't just do the bare minimum, but has gone above and beyond their job description. Someone who has went out of their way in order to make you the best person they possibly can. For me, this person is a teacher. In a very underrated and often attacked profession, a public school teacher is a life-changing role model that has the ability to positively affect the lives of the hundreds of individuals they encounter. A teacher must be so many different people, a child's third parent and lifelong friend, the person who can make hard things seem easy, who teaches us to think apart yet act together. They care very much about what they teach, the curiosity they instill, and how well their students learn and where their lives will lead. It was in my worry and anxiety-filled junior high years where I encountered this type of teacher. She was my English teacher for both 7th and 8th grade. I distinctly remember many times where she would power walk into the class and say, "Class, we have a lot to do today." This scared me to no end and sometimes made me regret signing up for a class that would cover so much information in one day. Little did I know at the time that this kindled my love for always wanting to know more about every topic, but also set the stage for me to become the student and person I am today. In my 8th grade year alone, we covered the standard 8th grade language arts curriculum of books and papers, read through the Diary of Anne Frank, memorized and recited poems in front of the class, had weekly vocab practice and tests, and oh yeah, created and edited the school newspaper to make sure that there were unique stories every month. There was never a dry spot in her class. She always kept the workload doable without pushing us over the edge because she wanted to prepare us as best she could for the classes in the future. This became especially true in my case, as she changed a fairly mediocre English student to one who began to excel. For the first time, I scored Pass Plus in language arts on iStep, and it was because of her foundation that I was able to have the confidence to take and pass the AP Lit exam, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the same can be said next week when I take the AP Lang exam. Carl Menninger said, "What the teacher is more important than what she teaches." Don't believe for a moment in the false dichotomy that one is either learning or one is having fun. Both are interconnected. Her classroom was always a fun and energetic environment, whether it was the occasional joke through a lesson to pique our interest or Nate Conder and I making fools of ourselves. Her classroom was always an enjoyable place. That's what made it special. We learned how to build and tear apart sentences, but did so in an environment that made it seem fun. She created an environment that inspired people to not just dream, but to go after it. Her optimistic spirit and love to teach created many unforgettable memories. One of my most memorable moments in all my 13 years at Concord was our field trip to the local newspaper and the WSBT TV station that ended with an impromptu birthday party for me at Hacienda. And yes, I still have the sombrero. Lastly, it has been said that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. She cared. She spent the time to listen to all of the troubles that we had or all the complaints that Nate and I would have of various things daily. Even when I see her out and about today, she always makes a point of saying hi and checking in. It is a trait that is embedded deep inside of her core Christian values. She creates a bond with her students to show that there is someone always there for them, a teacher who teaches more than the book, and a friend that will always listen. An English teacher may not teach us how to count, but she can teach us what truly counts. It is at this time I would like to express my thanks by honoring not only my 7th and 8th grade English teacher, but also someone I look up to very much, Mrs. Tandra Oberholzer.
Next up, Bailey Olinger Royer, and her parents, please stand.
So how do they expect us to choose only one person to recognize for having a positive impact on our lives? I had trouble deciding what to wear tonight. But on a more serious note, I was able to decide who I wanted to recognize tonight, and she is more than deserving. I've had the pleasure of taking 2 classes taught by this teacher, and one I decided to take just because I knew she taught it. Although I don't have this teacher currently, it would be wrong to let her go unnoticed. I first had this teacher for chemistry my sophomore year. When I walked into that classroom, I knew I was there for a science class of some sort, but I honestly couldn't have begun to tell you what chemistry actually was. I honestly remember thinking that I would only take this class because it is a requirement to graduate. I was mistaken. I know many of you might think I'm crazy, but I fell in love with chemistry. Although I knew I loved chemistry, I decided to take AP Biology instead of AP Chemistry my junior year. The only reason being this specific teacher. I had done well in biology my freshman year, so I thought I would be okay. I even convinced my best friend to take the class with me because I thought it would be a breeze. I'm still sorry, Kaylee. However, on the first day of AP Biology, I thought I was in way over my head. I was so afraid that I wouldn't be successful in the class that I went home on the first day of school and cried. But I stuck it out, and it ended up being a really great experience for me. I ended up being more successful than I ever thought I could be, and it's all because this teacher was there to encourage me every step of the way. I learned so much from that class, and I am eternally grateful that I never gave up, no matter how tough it got. My favorite unit from AP Biology was definitely biochemistry. I was so excited to see a little bit of chemistry in the course, but more importantly, that unit influenced my decision to pursue a career in biochemistry. Although it was just the beginning, I knew I had found my passion. Taking AP Chemistry this year has definitely reinforced a decision of mine, but I wanted to personally thank this teacher for introducing me to my greatest passion. Thank you for always believing in me, and for seeing my potential to be great. I honestly don't think I would be the person I am today if you wouldn't have touched my life. I couldn't be more grateful to have an amazing teacher like Dr. Daniel for 2 years of my high school career. Thank you.
Next up, Benjamin Rich and his parents.
So about a week ago, me and my friend, we got together and we decided we're gonna act more like top 10 students and we're gonna write our speeches 1 week early. And so we got together and we met at my house with a strong mindset to start working right away. We took about 5 minutes to set up some hammocks, 2 minutes to load up our computers, another 5 minutes to stop messing around with the hammocks. Then we took a 2-hour nap. After all this, all we had was my friend's first line in his speech. So at this point, I realized that working together wasn't an option. So I decided to resort back to a student's natural instinct, and I procrastinated. So last night, I began to think of all the memories I had made throughout my high school career, looking specifically at the ones I had made with my teacher of choice. I can envision walking into his classroom, a normal, nervous freshman. Well, maybe I was a bit more nervous because I knew my 2 older siblings had this class before, and you just never know how long it will take for a teacher to recover from that experience. I quickly learned that there was no reason to be afraid of this teacher. One thing you can't miss about him is his goofy humor. I still recall how it seemed every time I was about to sit down, this teacher would call out, "Would someone please help Ben get up onto his stool?" He obviously knew that height was a sensitive subject for me freshman year. His jokes always made me laugh, and I would end up leaving his classroom with a smile. I remember how one day this teacher deemed my nickname to be Squeezer. It all started when an upperclassman girl got to talking about how small and cute I was. Here we go again, I thought. And she went on to say the key words, "He's just so squeezable." At this point, I was probably thinking in my head, wow, I have the same qualities of a teddy bear. Great. Of course, this teacher caught wind of the conversation right away, and for the rest of the year, he referred to me as Squeezer. He seemed to always get the biggest kick out of this, and I always had a hard time explaining it to people. Over the next few years, I continuously became more familiarized with this teacher and learned more about his life. Occasionally, my table group would strike up a conversation with him, and he would sit down and tell us all his stories, his endless stories. We learned about some of his theories behind famous historical incidents. We learned about how he saw this up-and-coming generation. Let's just say he's not the biggest cell phone fan. We learned about his childhood and how he grew up. I never added that much to the conversation because I'm a pretty quiet kid, but through hearing about his life, I became more inspired each and every day. One quality of this teacher that I truly admire is his passion. In everything he does, he works at it with 110%. This can be seen in the fact that he's always ready to help people and dedicates a huge part of his life into what he believes in. Not many people would be willing to give up the amount of time this teacher does in order to help others. But this teacher does it solely based on the fact that it's the right thing to do. And with his passion, he drives not only himself, but he elevates the people around him to get more involved. With this gift of his, he has been able to create an organization that generates thousands and thousands of dollars each year for a good cause. Through him, I've learned that being passionate about something is really the key to success. Mr. Bieber, let's face it, I'm not the best talker, but even though I can't hold a conversation without long, awkward pauses, I am a pretty good observer. And through watching how you live your life and through listening how you made it through difficult times, you have inspired me to become a better person. You've exemplified a godly life and that I hope one day I can compare to. I will always remember the way you told your stories, the way you lived your life with passion, the way you were able to make people laugh, and of course, the fact that you called me Squeezer. Mr. Bieber, thank you for the company you've provided me with, and for the knowledge you've passed on. You've been an influential part of not only my high school career, but of the life I have ahead. Thank you.
Next up, Elise Smith and her parents, or as we know her as Allie.
After hundreds of miles, my time with this coach is coming to the end. The finish line is in sight. My 4 years under his guidance is only a sliver of the 30 years this coach has led the cross-country program at Concord High School. As a result, I know he has impacted more lives than just my own. This person's dedication is just one of their many admirable qualities. I don't know many people that could put up with the constant complaints from teenage girls. Not only does he put up with negativity toward every workout, he laughs about it and then still pushes us through those mile repeats and hill workouts. We are often labeled the entitled generation, so us cross-country runners are always on the search for a reward for our efforts. One reward that motivates us through every workout is an imaginary smiley face that coach writes on the workout cards. If we are a lost cause the day of a hard workout, we get a sad face. Coach tells us these cards are kept for future reference, or as we like to put it, future torture. Our other incentive is all of our dinner deals. Coach makes these with us based on how we place at the big meets. My freshman year, we finally earned our dinner when we made it to semi-state for the first time in the 27 years that the coach had been helping girls through cross country. Coach and his wife took us out to dinner at Peterson's Steak and Seafood. We got the full treatment, full course meals, and dessert. The best lesson this coach has taught me is how to get out of my comfort zone. Because I have learned how to push myself past my preconceived limits, I am not haunted by what I may face in the next 4 years and beyond. I remember my freshman year, I had the pleasure of hearing this person's famous bean story. The story starts with a clear jar that is full of uncooked beans. There's also a ping pong ball hidden somewhere in the middle. All of the beans represent life's obstacles, such as homework, relationships, sickness, and drama. The ping pong ball is meant to represent you as an individual. Coach would then shake the jar, and no matter what, the ping pong ball would always end up on top. The story shows that despite whatever is going on in your life, you can overcome it. In reference to running, it means you can always push harder and achieve more. I didn't truly experience this until junior year. After a summer of training, a stress fracture ended my season early. As a senior, this coach has helped me prove my best was yet to come, break records, and have a greater confidence in myself. He has been put through more than just coaching in the 8 years I've been with him, though. Throughout the years, he has overheard a lot of high school drama during stretches, bus rides, and rest in between interval workouts, to all of which he reacts, "Oh, brother." We keep Coach updated on all of the current high school slang and dance moves, and he often plays along. The team, however, he dresses in Adidas from head to toe, so he doesn't need our fashion tips. The team tries not to laugh too much when he demonstrates stretches, such as backwards lunges and the karaoke stretch. We get to hear all of his stories from the glory days as a Redskin, or Red Hawk if I'm trying to be politically correct, and as a Ball State Cardinal. But one thing we are still waiting for is to watch Coach race us. A 3-minute speech does not come close to summarizing all of my appreciation for this coach. Although I could not give him a trip to cross-country state, at least I can give him this plaque. I know I owe him so much more. Thank you, Coach Jude.
And next, Caleb Wilson. Will his parents please stand?
I know what you're all thinking. How is Caleb Wilson in the top 10? Don't worry, I'm thinking the same thing. Let's just say I'm in the top 10 for grades, not attendance. Also, I'd like to thank Ben for the help with my first line in the nap in the hammocks. I've had a lot of influential teachers throughout high school and 12 years of schooling. At first, I thought it'd be hard to choose one teacher that was the most influential, but when I sat down to write this speech last night, one teacher immediately stood out to me. I think this teacher is sometimes misunderstood or underappreciated. This is probably because he is an unorthodox teacher that comes from an unorthodox background. He used to be a CFO of a bank. You're probably wondering why a CFO of a bank would become a teacher. Well, this teacher retired early from banking, and after coaching his kids' sports teams for a while, he realized how much he loved working with kids and wanted to impact their lives on a daily basis. He decided to take a risk and switch careers. This teacher has brought his business and risk-taking experiences to the classroom and has invested a lot in me and passed down so much knowledge. There's been many times over the past couple years where I would discuss my plans for college, my major, or my career with this teacher. He was able to give me valuable insight as I changed my mind probably like 50 times. One of the things he would tell me was, "Caleb, you're either going to be a billionaire or you're going to end up in jail." And I'm not in jail so far, so I think it's looking good. He would also tell me about his past experiences in business. This teacher has influenced me the most because of the knowledge, advice, and tools he has given me. I've learned so much from this teacher and his lessons in our conversations before or after class or during lunch. This teacher is my most influential teacher, and I'd like to give him a big thank you for everything he has done for me. Thank you, Mr. Kame, for giving up your time to talk to me. Thanks for all the conversations during lunchtime. You took a risk and switched careers to impact kids' lives, and you've impacted mine the most, and I can't thank you enough. Unfortunately, I don't think you can be here tonight because of a family emergency.
Thank you. You can be seated, and remember, we'll be taking pictures right after. So as we get ready to wrap this up quickly, I just want to once again take a moment and thank Mr. Scott Preheim up in the booth with his crew. Mr. Matt Jerlecki up in the booth with the filming crew and his crew as well. Our distinguished Board of Trustee members here with us tonight. Our 20 teachers that were honored tonight by these students. Congratulations to each of you. And once again, to all the parents here of your students, we're just so grateful to you and for who you have raised and reared and how you've done so. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We're grateful to you. So thank you, parents. And lastly, students, this is 212. Thanks for making this year 212. You guys are awesome. So proud of you. Okay, where we go one, we go all, baby. You got it. Okay, with that, a reminder, our 2 top 10 groups and their teachers, please come up here for pictures. And thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful evening and safe travels home.